All right, today we're diving deep into a single source, a weekly newsletter for the Waldenstrom's Macroglobulinemia community. And you'll see why. It's just packed with so much about support, education, and hope when you're facing a rare disease. So let's get into it.
So right off the bat, the newsletter hits you with this number, coming from a Lymphoma Coalition survey, 67%. That's basically 2 out of every 3 people with lymphoma also dealing with anxiety, depression, or fear. It's a powerful reminder that this is so much more than a physical battle. It's a huge mental and emotional journey too.
And that statistic, it really leads to this huge question, doesn't it? If you're diagnosed with something rare, like Waldenstrom's, the road ahead can feel incredibly unclear. It's easy to feel totally alone. So where do you even begin to look for answers, or for people who get it?
Well, for this community, the answer is the IWMF, the International Waldenstrom's Macroglobulinemia Foundation. And their mission is just crystal clear. Yeah, they're working on a cure for WM down the road, but just as importantly, they're focused on support and education right now to make life better for patients today. So let's look at that first piece, education. Because knowledge is probably one of the best tools you have against that fear and uncertainty we were just talking about. The newsletter makes it really obvious that their goal is to turn all that confusion into real understanding. And they're not just talking about it, they're doing it. I mean, look at this schedule. Just in the next month or so, you've got virtual events that cover everything from broad blood cancer news to the nitty-gritty of navigating Medicare. And this makes vital information accessible to absolutely anyone, no matter where they live. And here's where you see just how specific and valuable this gets. It's not just general information. We're talking about direct access to top experts, like a doctor from the Mayo Clinic, in a session created specifically for the Waldenstrom's community. That is incredibly targeted, high-value stuff. They also point you to resources you can watch anytime, like a replay about lab tests. Just understanding a single term like IgM, which is so central to this disease, is a game changer. When you can actually understand your own lab results, you can have a totally different conversation with your doctor. The education here is practical, it's usable, and that's the whole point. Okay, so let's shift to the next big theme that just jumps off the page: community. Having a rare disease can be incredibly lonely. But this newsletter shows how the IWMF is working to completely break down that isolation, building connections that stretch all over the world, but also feel very local.
And you see that global piece immediately. I mean, they're actively looking for volunteers in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. Then you see a highlight from a recent, really successful patient meeting in Helsinki that got 30 people together.
And then, boom, they bring it right back home to a small group in Minnesota who braved a chilly day just to have lunch together. I love that contrast. It shows the network is huge and international, but the connections themselves are super personal. And it gets even deeper than just where you live. The foundation really gets that real community, real support. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. So check this out. They've made these specialized affinity groups. So whether you're a military veteran, or you were diagnosed young, under 50, or you're a person of color, there's a space just for you to connect with people who share your specific life experiences on top of the diagnosis. It's about finding people who truly get it. So from there, the newsletter kind of shifts focus, moving from the clinical side of things to something more holistic. It's this great reminder that managing a disease isn't just about treatments. It's also about actively practicing wellness and figuring out how to live the best you can. And honestly, what better way is there to see the impact than to hear it straight from someone who's in it? When you read words like consistency, support, and safe harbor, wow, that tells you everything. This is so much more than an exercise class. It's about building a stable, positive space for people when things feel chaotic. And this is just such a brilliant idea. They're connecting a wellness activity, chair yoga, with the theme of honest talk for World Lymphoma Awareness Day. It just creates the safe, comfortable space for conversations that can be tough. And they even say, bring a friend, which widens that circle of support and understanding. So smart. And finally, after all the programs and the resources and the groups, we get to what might be the most powerful part of the whole newsletter, a personal story. This is where all the data and the mission statements, this is where it all gets real. And it all comes to life with this one person. The newsletter just says, meet Ed.
And the first thing we learn about him is that he's 95. But believe it or not, that's only the beginning of his incredible story.
Because this next number, this is the one that really makes you pause. 10. For 10 years, Ed has lived with Waldenstrom's without needing any treatment at all. Just think about that for a second. That simple fact is such a powerful beacon of hope. It shows what's actually possible on this journey.
I just love how the newsletter describes this story. They call it Ed's third act. It's not about just getting by or surviving. It's about thriving, about living a full, new chapter of his life, even after getting a diagnosis like this. It's just perfect.
So, as we wrap all this up, looking at this one newsletter, it really leaves you with this question. What is the true power of community? Is it the webinars with experts, the support groups, the wellness classes? Or is it something more? Perhaps the true power is seeing someone like Ed, at 95, living out his third act, and knowing that you're not on that path alone.